8th graders, and welcome to lesson 7-6 on areas of polygons. So today we're going to be talking about three formulas. The first is the area of a parallelogram, which is just base times height. So in this case, your base is you always can look for the right angle. So that's where the right angle would be. The base is 8 centimeters and then the height is 10 centimeters. So the area of this parallelogram would be 180 centimeters squared. Now, the next one says a triangle. So a triangle is basically the same thing as taking a parallelogram and cutting it from point to point. So here's our triangle. In other words, any triangle I have, if I were to double it and then turn one of them upside down, I would form a parallelogram. And what you can notice about this is how we get the area of a triangle. Is its base times height divided by 2. Dividing by 2 and multiplying by 1/2 are the exact same thing. The convenience of making it a 1/2 instead of finding base times height and dividing by 2 is that I can actually choose to divide either the base or the height in half first, because multiplying by 1/2, multiplication commutative property, I can change the order of it. So instead of doing 10 times 8, which is 180, divided by 2, I can do 10 divided by 2, which is 5, and then do 5 times 8 to get 40 centimeters. Or I could do 8 divided by 2 and get 4 centimeters, and then multiply that 4 times 10 and get 40 centimeters. So that's why writing it as the 1/2 is really, really helpful, so I can switch the order of it. And now my last formula is typically the most confusing to students. Let's look at the formula for a trapezoid. So here I have a trapezoid. A trapezoid has one set of parallel sides. And in order to find the area of this, I'm going to relate it to a parallelogram too. If I were to double this, okay, and then turn one of them upside down, I get a parallelogram. So in order to do this formula, basically in order to recreate this parallelogram, I'm going to add the base 1 to the base 2, which would be up here, to get my new base length. So I've added base 1 to base 2, and then I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing for any of these parallelograms, and that is I'm going to multiply that times the height, and then just like with the triangle, I need to divide that in half because I really only want the area of this figure, not the larger parallelogram that we're making. So when we look at that here, we have 1/2 times the height, and then we're adding base 1 plus base 2. And the bases, it doesn't matter which order you add them in. You can just pick those, add them, and then either divide that by half or the height by half, and then multiply them. So let's look at examples, and this will make a whole bunch of sense. All right, so in our first example, we have a triangle, and the formula is A equals 1/2 base times height. So to find my base, I'm always going to look for this right angle because that'll be my height. My height is always connects that to the base. So I have A equals, and now I'm going to do 1/2 times base is 24, and the height is 16. Because of the commutative property of multiplication, I can do this I can cut any of these numbers in half that I want to. So I am going to cut 16 in half to 8, and then I'm just going to multiply 24 times 8. And I get 192. So the area is 192 feet squared. Go ahead and try example B on your own. So you're going to look for where there would be a right angle to find your height, And then that is also that will tell you where to pick your base, because the base will be attached to that as well. All right, you could also have a trapezoid. So in our trapezoid, our formula was A equals 1/2 the height times, and then our base. So 5, I should write B1 plus B2. To plug it in, I've got 1/2. The height is 3. The bases are 5 plus 9. I need to add my 5 plus 9 first. So I get 14 times 3 times 1/2. I can choose to cut any of those in half I want to. I'm going to cut 14 in half, so I have 7. 7 times 3 means that my area is going to be 21 centimeters squared. All right, now you go ahead and try example D on your own. Look for the right angle to figure out the height and then use your bases. And the last question, this is your challenge to figure out. It says find the area of the shaded region. So these triangles, I'm going to tell you, are all congruent to each other. And so you'll need to find the area of one of these triangles, and then you'll have to multiply it by the amount of triangles that there are. Okay? Or you could find the area of the big triangle and then the area of the small triangle, and you could subtract it. So whatever method you would like to do is fine, but give it your best shot, and I will see you tomorrow. Go ahead and get to work.